The factory loomed ahead, hidden behind towering walls and guarded entrances, a place few outsiders had ever been allowed to see. Its exterior gave nothing away, just an unassuming building tucked away in an industrial zone. But inside, it was a completely different world, a world of precision, discipline, and secrecy. The moment you stepped through the heavy doors, the sharp smell of leather and chemicals hit you, filling your senses with a mix of raw earthiness and the strange sterility of industrial work. The air was thick, almost tangible, with the scent of labor and luxury intermingled. Workers moved quickly but deliberately, each carrying out their tasks with a quiet intensity, as though aware that any lapse could compromise the value of the materials they handled. Every corner, every station, seemed to hum with a kind of careful choreography. There were long tables covered with carefully stacked hides, shelves lined with tools, and vats of tanning solutions bubbling quietly in the background, releasing faint clouds of vapor. Raw leopard skins arrived from all over the world, crated carefully and transported under conditions meant to preserve their delicate quality. Some were legally sourced, procured from licensed suppliers with proper documentation and clearances. Others, shrouded in secrecy, hinted at the shadowy side of the trade, a reminder of the controversy surrounding exotic leather. Each skin was unique, carrying the story of the animal it had once been, and the first step in the factory was to honor that uniqueness by handling it with extreme care. Workers wore gloves and aprons, moving methodically from one hide to another, examining them for imperfections, marks, or inconsistencies that could affect their eventual transformation into high-end products. Every skin had its own character, its own pattern of spots, its own texture, and the craftsman knew how to read it. Choosing the right skin for the right product was not random, it required an intimate understanding of the material, a combination of experience, intuition, and aesthetic judgment. The environment was controlled meticulously. Temperature, humidity, and lighting were all calibrated to maintain the integrity of the skins. A sudden change in any factor could damage a hide beyond repair. Workers would occasionally adjust the settings on large industrial machines, check the chemical solutions, or carefully place hides into drying racks. There was a rhythm to the work, almost meditative, as if the factory itself breathed along with the employees. Conversations were minimal, replaced by the sounds of movement, soft rustling of hides, the metallic clink of tools, the hum of machinery, and the occasional low murmur of instruction from a supervisor. Despite the industrial setting, there was an unmistakable sense of artistry in the way people handled the materials. It was clear that every action, from sorting to preparing, was performed with the end product in mind, a flawless piece of luxury that would eventually sell for thousands, even millions, of dollars. The juxtaposition of raw, once living material and the refined, polished products that would emerge from it gave the space a strange, almost sacred quality. Walking through the factory, one could sense both the weight of responsibility and the pride of craftsmanship. It was a place where every skin mattered, every touch counted, and the smallest oversight could change the value of what was being created. This was the beginning of a journey few would witness firsthand. Here, at the threshold of transformation, the story of luxury began, woven with skill, secrecy, and the meticulous care of those dedicated to turning rare, exotic materials into objects of desire. Every corner of the factory whispered the promise of what was to come, a testament to human ingenuity and the complex, sometimes uncomfortable, beauty of creating something extraordinary from nature's own patterns. Once the skins arrived in the factory, the next stage was sorting and preparation, a step as meticulous as it was critical. Workers carried each hide carefully from the crates, laying them flat on large tables designed to accommodate their size and shape. Every skin was unique, a pattern of spots and rosettes unlike any other, and the task of sorting required more than just careful hands. It demanded a trained eye capable of discerning subtle differences in texture, thickness, and symmetry. The process began with inspection. Workers would run their hands over the surface, feeling for blemishes, scars, or inconsistencies in the grain of the leather. Some imperfections were minor, perhaps a tiny scratch or a small discoloration, and could be repurposed for smaller accessories like belts or keychains. Others were significant enough to exclude the hide from high-end products altogether. The artisans treated each skin as a story, a canvas waiting to be transformed. They measured dimensions meticulously, noting which pieces could become handbags, wallets, or shoes. Larger, more uniform hides were reserved for the most prestigious products, where perfect continuity of the pattern was essential. Smaller, oddly shaped hides were set aside for items that required less symmetry. This careful categorization ensured that nothing went to waste, maximizing the value of each animal and the labor invested in obtaining the skin. After sorting came the preparation for preservation, a step that would determine whether the skin could survive the intense processes ahead. Each hide was cleaned with precision, removing any residual flesh, hair, or impurities. Workers used specialized tools to scrape and smooth the surfaces, taking care not to damage the delicate patterns that made leopard leather so desirable. The hides were then treated with chemical solutions to prevent decay. This step was a careful balance. Too little treatment, and the leather would spoil; too much, and it could become brittle or lose its natural luster. Some factories employed traditional methods, soaking the hides in salt or natural tanning agents, while others relied on modern chemical solutions designed to accelerate the process without compromising quality. During this stage, the atmosphere of the factory shifted. The air became heavier with the scent of preservatives and cleaning agents, mingling with the faint musky odor of raw hides. Workers moved deliberately, aware that every motion counted. Gloves were mandatory, both to protect the skin and to protect the handler, as some chemicals could be harsh. Supervisors hovered nearby, observing each step, ready to correct even the smallest error. A single mistake could ruin a hide worth thousands, and in a world where luxury is measured in precision, mistakes were unacceptable. Despite the industrial nature of the work, there was a quiet artistry in the preparation stage. Workers learned to read the subtle signs in the leather, the way it responded to touch, the tension in its fibers, the way the pattern flowed across the surface. Each hide had a personality, and understanding it meant knowing how to treat it properly. Some skins were supple and resilient, ready to be dyed and crafted immediately, while others required extra care, longer soaking, or more gentle handling. By the end of this stage, the hides had been transformed from raw, fragile skins into prepared leather, ready to endure the rigors of tanning, dyeing, and eventual crafting. It was a labor-intensive process, invisible to the consumer, yet absolutely vital. The success of every high-end leopard leather product depended on this stage. Without careful sorting and preparation, the artistry of the craftsman in the later stages would be impossible to achieve. In this quiet, methodical space, the foundation for luxury was laid. Each skin, carefully handled and treated, carried the potential to become a symbol of wealth and status. The process was both technical and tactile, a blend of science and intuition, and for those who understood it, nothing short of extraordinary. Here, in the sorting and preparation room, the raw beauty of the leopard was first transformed, setting the stage for a journey that would turn nature's patterns into objects of desire that few would ever touch, but many would covet. Once the hides were meticulously sorted and prepared, they moved to the next stage, tanning, a transformative process that would turn the fragile, raw skins into durable, luxurious leather. The tanning room was vast, filled with enormous vats of chemicals and natural solutions, each one carefully calibrated for temperature, concentration, and timing. The air here carried a pungent mix of scents, earthy, chemical, and slightly sweet, the signature aroma of leather being reborn. Workers moved with precision, carefully lowering each hide into the vats, ensuring that it was fully submerged and evenly soaked. It was a delicate balance. Too long, and the hide would stiffen and crack; too short, and it would remain weak and prone to damage. The vats themselves were a marvel of engineering, some automated with precise temperature control, others requiring manual stirring and adjustment. Tanning was both science and art. Chemical tanners relied on chromium salts and other compounds to stabilize the collagen fibers in the hide, creating a material that could withstand years of use while remaining supple. Traditional vegetable tanning used natural extracts, such as tree bark and plant tannins, infusing the leather with rich tones and depth. In either case, workers monitored the skins constantly, checking for texture, elasticity, and color. Each hide responded differently. Some absorbed the solution quickly, while others needed careful encouragement. Handling these variations required experience, intuition, and a deep understanding of the material. Once tanning was complete, the hides were removed, rinsed, and gently dried. The leather that emerged was strong yet flexible, ready to be shaped into the luxurious products that would eventually leave the factory. But before that, another critical step awaited: dyeing. The choice of color could define the entire character of the product. Some skins were left in their natural state, showcasing the iconic leopard pattern in all its glory. Others were dyed according to the specifications of high-end designers: vibrant hues, muted shades, metallic finishes, or even glossy, lacquered surfaces. Dyeing was both a technical and creative process. Workers applied color with care, often brushing or spraying it by hand to ensure even coverage. Each stroke was deliberate, designed to enhance the natural patterns of the leopard while achieving the desired aesthetic. Oversaturation could obscure the unique markings, while uneven application could create unsightly streaks. After dyeing, the hides were treated again, polished, and conditioned to enhance softness, durability, and sheen. The result was leather that was not only visually stunning but also resilient enough to endure the years of wear that a luxury handbag or pair of shoes might face. During this stage, the factory felt almost like a laboratory and an art studio combined. Machines hummed softly, chemicals glimmered in the vats under bright lights, and artisans moved with quiet concentration, their hands dancing over each hide. The transformation was remarkable. What began as a fragile, raw skin was now a strong, beautiful canvas, ready to be cut, stitched, and shaped into a product of immense value. The process required patience, skill, and an unwavering respect for the material. Every hide told a story, and the tanning and dyeing stage brought that story to life, preserving its essence while preparing it for the next stage of creation. By the end of tanning and dyeing, the hides had fully evolved. They were no longer just skins, they were raw potential, imbued with durability, elegance, and a promise of luxury. In the quiet hum of the factory, the artisans could see the future: a handbag that would grace the arm of a wealthy collector, a wallet that would carry secrets and style across continents, shoes that would walk in elegance. Every process so far, the careful selection, the gentle preparation, the transformative tanning and dyeing, was a testament to skill, patience, and the meticulous effort required to turn nature's beauty into objects of desire.